Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We have a here we go, special guest here, my cat, Benny. So he will be joining in, I guess, for our conversation today. So welcome to Leading in the Moment with Geronda. I'm really excited to have you here for this really important topic and discussion that has been on many people's mind across many different industries, verticals, positions, and it's something that's really important to talk about as well. So I'm Geronda Wallach Spiller. I'm speaker and coach of Courageously Inclusive Leadership, and I put these different live series on every other week. It's usually the second and no, I'm sorry, the first and third Wednesday of the month. And I usually have some guest speakers on, or I talk on my own, like I'm doing today. So if you are joining me live, I would love for you to put live in the chat so I know that you're here and you're participating with me live. If not, you can put replay as well if you're joining through the replay. Either way is totally fine. So before I get into our topic, Leading in the Moment really is a live segment that talks about different strategies and ways that you can be a more inclusive leader that provides psychologically safe spaces for your teams. And we talk about varying types of topics during this segment. And I feel like this topic in particular, again, is really important. But before getting into the topic, I always do like to ask a question of the day, just to get your thoughts flowing and make it a little bit less formal and a little bit more informal on this. So, the question of the day is, who is your favorite singer or band that you have right now? Now, our favorite singer in our band, it ebbs and flows over time. So I love to see and hear what people are listening to for great recommendations. I can share recommendations to you as well. So for me, there's a band I found. They are fantastic. They're called Proxima Parada. And they're not a Latin American band, to be honest. They actually are in California, and it's two white males. But they loved that phrase because I believe it means like to stop or to build, something of that nature in Spanish. That's how they came up with their name. But their music is just so calming. It's a good vibe. It's just a good space to be in. I love this band, and I just discovered them recently, and then it gave me recommendations on Spotify, as many of you know, to other bands, and it's just such a good band to listen to. Um, so again, that's Proxima Parada. Oh no, Proxima Parada is how they do it. And maybe I'll try to put in the comments what the spelling is so people can find them as well. Okay, so now let's get into the meatiness of this conversation. The topic that we're going to be talking about today, why DEI isn't going away. It's not disappearing, it can't be dismantled. But I know that there's a lot of fear right now because there's been many DEI departments, roles, positions that have been eliminated. A lot of departments have been laid off. A lot of programs and initiatives have been canceled and taken away and dismantled. So there is a lot of fear that's going around right now. In, is DEI dead? And no, it is far, far from it. Now, when we think about DEI, we think about, George Floyd's murder really amplified the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it started getting companies to think about ways that they can start to really make it a bigger commitment. Now, some of the practices were performative, others were truly wanting to bring more diversity programming into their organization to be able to build more inclusive practices, equitable practices, places where people can feel psychologically safe within their teams. But because the visibility of that started to slowly diminish, and now we have a lot of this rhetoric that DEI has to go away, there's anti-DEI legislation that's being put out there. There is this understandable fear, and people are reacting to that fear by doing things like I mentioned, canceling DEI in DEI programs, taking away DEI roles, eliminating positions, and just not moving forward anymore with the critical important things you need to be moving forward with for DEI. And so there's been so much resistance lately, but there's so many reasons why DEI is incredibly important and it's not going away. So I'm going to name a couple with you. And again, if you are here with me live, I would love for you to put live in the chat. If you're watching the replay, you can also put replay in the chat as well. So why is it not going away? Now we think about, many of us know, over many, many years, year over year, ethno racial and many different identities and demographics increase over time. New generations are formed. Our populations are getting significantly more diverse. The majority is going to become the minority at some point. But from a perspective in organizations, it's really critical because there's so much research and insight and information that just shows the importance of DEI and how it brings upon things like innovation, revenue, uh, so many benefits that come with putting on programming and diversifying your workplace. Having diverse teams and how they are more significant in terms of their performance, and they are better able to address certain situations than teams that are not diverse. There's so much research and insight that is out there that we cannot ignore. What's out there as well. What's also very important is a lot of what is being shared in the news, in the media, is misinformation. So people are saying things like, there's fear because they are in power. People in power don't want to lose that power, and they see DEI as a threat. And it's not a threat, it's a benefit. But people, and sometimes with the misinformation, they don't want somebody of color or somebody who's marginalized to be in power, and they are weaponizing things that are really not an issue, that as part of having DEI in your organization or wanting to build more inclusive practices within your organization. So again, there's so much countless research out there that shows the significant benefits of DEI. So there's different ways that we can start to approach this and not let fear take over, because there are, again, those ignorance in terms of assumptions and opinions about DEI. Things like it um, is not beneficial for jobs. It's making white people feel angry and like they're bad people. It's um, we really shouldn't be talking about these things because it takes away from more important conversations. But those are all misconceptions. We have to talk about these different things because it impacts the entire organization. And DEI comes with, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They come with more benefits than anything. So there's some ways that we can look at this. Really, it's really increasing the understanding of what tailored initiatives are needed for your organization. There's never going to be a one size fits all. And you'll see that everything should be around the objectivity of your data. So if you are not collecting things like demographics or tying demographics to promotions, recruitment, performance management, terminations, other parts of your life cycle within your organization, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And it's really going to help you by showing the data and how it's benefiting your organization, where money is going towards programming, how money is being used towards programming. There are so many things you can do with the data that you collect and be able to proactively make decisions to build the initiatives that are going to be tailored to your organization. A lot of the programs that they're talking about, with misinformation and ignorance and a lot of different opinions, it's things like programs to support the LGBTQ plus community. It's what you can speak about in your programs. Higher education has been incredibly impacted by the anti-DEI legislation, and but we cannot go off of misinformation. So it's getting very, very clear on the resources and what you're reading out there. It's also Unfortunately, many different types of leaders in different organizations see it as a way to save money. But how can you share the benefits of having DEI? And that's through things like evidence and case studies. There's so many case studies out there that show the benefits of DEI. There's companies like Microsoft, there's companies like IBM that are showcasing through their reports how impactful DEI has been, not only for the organization, but for the people within their organization as well. Things like just building employee resource groups where people can come together with common identities and really talk about the needs that need to be met in organizations, or putting on programming for more awareness of how DEI is going to help to change the retention of many different diverse people within the organization. It's also things like sharing compelling stories. This can be case studies, but compelling stories of your lived experience, other people's lived experience, things that you know are objective, they're factful, they are ways to demonstrate. Even through your data, you can build compelling stories for the benefits of your organization. And so many companies are doing this today. There's more reports that are going out right now about DEI not going away than there are reports about why DEI needs to die. The reports that are coming out, they are factual, they are compelling, they are objective, they're not just going off of misinformation, they are addressing the misinformation. And so leverage the resources. Companies like Saramount, I absolutely love Saramount. They have extensive research on these types of things. And it really helps to combat that fear that comes with, why is DEI dying? It's not dying. It's needed more than ever. But we have to show the impact and combat against a lot of these different figures and fears that are coming from this. Now, there's ways that we can do this, but again, please, if you are here live, I would love to see you put live in the chat. If you are joining for the replay, please put replay in the chat as well. But we're talking about why DEI is not going away. In the headlines, we see DEI must die, DEI is getting bombarded, there's anti-DEI bills, higher education practices are being impacted by this. Companies are getting rid of their DEI departments, their DEI talent, their initiatives and programs. And a lot of this is because they are reacting to the misinformation. So ways that you can show your impact is take action and lead by example. Be that organization that does their research on how DEI is needed more than ever and the future of DEI is not going away, and ways that you are going about taking things like case studies, increasing your data, how you're using and leveraging your data to show the benefits to your leadership teams. If you have leaders that are actually truly committed to DEI, have them maybe even speak at different organizations, at conferences, to really show the significant importance of this, because it's really not going away. Show how you have inclusive leadership teams, what that means for your organization, and how you're implementing systems and processes to show the benefits of having more inclusive leadership teams, what that's done for your organization, what that's done for your people in your organization, what that's even done for customers and external partners. Because when you are still looking at the diversity and ways that you can tailor your approach to meet the needs of your customers and external partners, that is also a way that you can showcase the benefits through a compelling story, or through you can be your own case study to show the evidence and significance of it. And share your accomplishments. There's so many accomplishments that are happening across many different industries and many different organizations. People who are building employee resource groups that are out there, people that are taking their data to build trainings, people that are having the really tough, challenging conversations, which is something else that is so important for you to do, is really have conversations about where resistance might come from anybody in your organization. Have an open, honest, non-judgmental conversation with your teams of how resistance is impacting them, where the resistance is coming from, why they are feeling that they need to be resistant, And then again, let the data speak for itself. So thank you, Janine, for for sharing the kind words of saying I'm a great leader. I very much appreciate that. So it's also attracting and engaging top talent that is diverse. Many companies I've noticed are very nervous to say they want to diversify their workforce. They want to hire and diversify their workforce, and that's not saying I only want to hire Black people or I only want to hire Asian people, but you want to provide a system and a way for everyone to have an opportunity to be able to showcase their talent, their background, their expertise, and apply for jobs at your organization. And you might ask questions about self identification. Also, okay. How many people are applying? Who is applying? Are we targeting enough groups? Are we out there and participating in enough groups like, let's say, for example, you're a tech company. Are you at Black women who tech, lesbians who tech, trans tech, um, there women who code, these different these different partnerships that you can build to be able to bring in a varying amount of talent. How are you showcasing your diversity and inclusion to attract talent? Many people now, as so many of us know, the way that candidates are looking at organizations is incredibly different. They very much value diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the people that you even bring into the organization, they want you to take this seriously. They want to know that there is programming, that there's policies in place that are protecting marginalized groups, that the leadership is committed to diversity and inclusion, and why or how they are committed to these different things. All of this is happening every single day. And yes, we're seeing larger organizations go through layoffs, larger organizations getting rid of departments and teams, and they are doing this in the wrong way. That does not mean that your organization has to follow suit, because you are going to be now well equipped to know, find the evidence, use our data, make sure that we're doing the right things to really showcase how important DEI is today. And that it's not something that we are allowing somebody to take away from us because we're scared with the misinformation and the rhetoric and the everything that's being posted out there. Um, if you think if you think about it, for example, Gen Z, which I'm a millennial, don't judge me. I'm a millennial, but Gen Z is such a powerful force in terms of things like accountability or changing in the workplace and how diverse a workplace needs to be. That's not going to go away. Their generation is going to influence the other generations and ones after them, and it's going to keep trickling down. So I say this because I know there's so much fear. I know that even people who are DEI professionals, who have roles as DEI professionals, I it's so sad to hear the stories of them getting laid off or they get fired or their role gets eliminated. And with where the job market is right now, and thinking, I'm doing all these wonderful, amazing things because when you hired me, you wanted me to influence amazing change in your organization and make it more inclusive and diverse and where people can feel that they belong. And because there is some potential legislation out there, all of that goes away. But you have not done your due diligence to see that you are making a huge mistake by doing that. So be proactive, don't be reactive. Be proactive in having these conversations. Be proactive in doing your due diligence and your research on the factual information, kind of like fact checker. If you do have AP News, for example, you can go to the fact checking section so you're not giving misinformation. Do your due diligence to see all this beautiful research and case studies of the benefits of DEI. Partner with companies like Ceramount that actually takes the time. They dedicate time to research, to analytics, to proven methodologies that show factual information about the benefits of DEI. They even did a whole report, which you have to put in your name and your email. but they did a whole report on a playbook to lead through this DEI backlash. And they talk about the future of DEI, and they don't even say DEI. They're like, DEI is not going away. You might feel like it is, but we got your back. You can do this, and you don't have to worry about anything. More of this is coming for all of you. So there's so much benefit to this. Really showcase your accomplishments. I cannot emphasize enough. Your data can speak so much for you. If you don't have an approach to even knowing where to start with data, start with different demographics. Start with what you have in front of you. Maybe you haven't done a self identification survey, which is essentially just asking your organization what demographics they are a part of. So it's questions like, um, what is your race? What is your sexual orientation? What is your gender identity? And these are optional questions, but the way in which you emphasize or even talk about the benefits of the value or the reason why you're collecting this information, people will want to jump in and join on it. So ignore the assumptions, get your facts right, get your facts together. DEI is not dying, it is not going away. There is a small shift because of all this anti-DEI rhetoric that's happening, but it is here to stay and it is going to evolve more and more in the future. So if you have questions, if you're still wondering, like, what do I do? How can I do this? Where do I go with this information? Please feel free to reach out to me. My email is gwallspill, so GWOLLSPILL 23 at gmail.com. You can reach out to me with any questions, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, you will have that information readily available. So thank you so much, everybody. Go out there, stay strong, do the work. And the next Leading in the Moment that's going to be happening will be on the 17th of April, so 2 weeks from now, at the same time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll have a new topic that we'll go into. But if this is something that is very important to you and you want me to do a part two to this topic, also open to that as well. So thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic evening. Stay warm or dry if you're in places like me in Maine where we're going to get a ton of snow. But enjoy your evening, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.